Starting February 4th, Tornadus Incarnate Forme is taking over the raid scene in Pokemon Go. Now this may come as a surprise to you guys with all the hype with the Go Battle League going on and the Community Day voting. Yeah, raids. Whoever thought about those things? Those are still going on. And yeah, new raid boss coming in, Tornadus Incarnate Forme. Interesting thing about this Pokemon is that it is the only mono flying type Pokemon in the game right now. All the other ones have like a subtyping. The ones you think are just flying are actually like flying normal. So yeah, the first ever pure flying type Pokemon in the game. So we got a new raid boss here. I bet you guys want to know how to best counter it and its use in the meta. Well, that's what I'm here for. So here I have graphed out the counters to the Tornadus Incarnate Forme raid, using all of Tornadus' movesets averaged, with no dodging, with best friendship. Now if you're not familiar with my graphs here, the y-axis is damage per second, so the more up you are, the faster your Pokemon is dealing damage to the raid boss, and then the x-axis here is your total damage output. Basically the percent of damage that you deal to the raid boss before your Pokemon goes down. You can also think of it as a more useful metric for tankiness. So the more up and to the right your Pokemon is, well, the better it's going to be against this raid. Now to give some more value to the DPS, I have a line here for the duo DPS cutoff line. So if your Pokemon are above this line, your potential to do the duo increases. And then I also have the double relobby avoid TDO line. So if you don't like relobbying, try to stay to the right of this line here. Now if you're wondering about single relobby TDO, that's like 8 point something. So that's not on this graph. I stop at like a little bit above 6. So yeah. And then as far as the double relobby TDO avoid line goes, that is based off of the duo. So if you are in a raid with like 20 people, then you might not have to relobby at all. You might not even have one Pokemon faint, but just a nice little highlight there for you guys that might be interested in the duo. So yeah, so all the Pokemon here featured are at level 40, and I also have their breakpoints. If you don't know what a breakpoint is, it's the level at which they get 1 more damage on their fast move. So pretty useful cutoff points if you're trying to power up your Pokemon on a budget. And you will also notice that we have some flags, some ribbons going on here on some of the Pokemon. Yeah, these are best buddy ribbons. So the Pokemon that are featured with them have best buddy breakpoints. If you're like surprised by this, a Pokemon performing better when it's at level 41, which Pokemon are the good ones for this? I already did a video on that, linked above and in the description if you want to know what the best buddies are for raid content. I already mapped that out for you guys. And yeah, in this raid we have Magnezone, Terrakion, and Glaceon. Glaceon actually came as a surprise. I overlooked it for this raid because the rock types and the electric types were actually surging. So if you already have a best buddy Glaceon, hey man, here's its time to shine. And then up here, I also have a best buddy ribbon on Rampardos. Rampardos doesn't get a best buddy breakpoint, but the extra tankiness that you get should you have the Hundo Rampardos maxed out and as your best buddy allows it to survive Grass Knot. A little bit better than it did before. And on average, that little bit of extra tankiness allows it to cross the double relobby avoid TDO line on average. Now, of course, if you're not up against Grass Knot, you're probably going to cross that a little bit anyways. But I just thought that was kind of cute that came up. So, yeah, Rampardos. Go you. Alright, what are the best counters to this fight? You know, who should you be bringing? Well, obviously, Rampardos. Yeah, Rampardos has the highest DPS out of all the Pokemon here, so it's dealing tons of damage to this raid boss. So if you want to bring it down with a short amount of people, well, Rampardos definitely gets the job done super well. You want to get some damage balls? Here are your damage balls. I have a level 38.5 here, starred. Rampardos gets a breakpoint at level 39. So if you are thrifting on the IVs, you don't have the perfect Hundo Rampardos, you got like a 13 attack IV, well, this is the best you can expect as far as its potential goes. And then 35.5 is a bulk point that I noticed with Rampardos. Going down to level 30 or like going down to its next breakpoint, which is like in the low 20s, is just super terribly bad. So yeah, level 35.5 or higher, that's how you want to run your Rampardoses. If you're not willing to put in that dust, I'd give this guy a pass. Next best on the list, and probably the best one overall, is Magnezone, using the Spark here, just a highlight, better than Charge Beam. Spark and Wild Charge, yeah, so Magnezone is a total boss here, also gets a best buddy breakpoint. Now this is the only raid where I see it getting a best buddy breakpoint, so if you're not already walking a Magnezone already, then I wouldn't start walking one now, because chances are you're not going to get it before this raid goes away. So yeah, but hey, if you did start walking, you prepared. Maybe you watched my video about best buddy breakpoints and you're like, I want this. Well, here it is. Now, the next one over, we have Raikou. And yeah, this actually came as a surprise. Volt Switch Raikou as so long as you have the level 39 breakpoint or higher, outperforms Thundershock. Yeah, it's just one of those things where on average, the whole, culmination of the fight, you're getting that one extra wild charge off on average enough where this actually ends up mattering. Yeah, so slightly better than Thundershock. If you go down, you see that Thundershock has a level 30.5 breakpoint, and this one has a level 33 breakpoint. The level 33 breakpoint makes it look like it's better than Thundershock still, but if Thundershock was powered up to level 33, it would be better slightly than Volt Switch would be, so I wouldn't worry about that. In general, Thundershock is still the move of choice for electric-type Pokemon, but yeah, Volt Switch, man. Ain't too shabby. Then moving on down, we have Terrakion. And yeah, if you watched my video on level 41 breakpoints for raids, you'd know that Terrakion also has the best buddy breakpoint for Thundurus. So if you do want to start walking somebody for these two raids, then Terrakion is definitely an ace Pokemon to do that for because you have another raid that you can get a breakpoint on. So Terrakion, one of the best rock type attackers in the game, showing up with a best buddy breakpoint. Then aside from these picks, you can use basically anything else featured here. So to highlight some things that I have highlighted, you got the Smackdown Tyranitar, that's a legacy move. You got Thundershock Zapdos, that's also a legacy move. The Charge Beam Zapdos isn't that far away if you already have it powered up. Like, its performance would be like kind of right here where my mouse is, if you can see that. So definitely not that much worse than the Thundershock one if you already got the Charge Beam maxed out. Then here I have two Alolan Golems. One has Rock Throw, one has Volt Switch. So here, Rock Throw is the superior move. Both of these guys are using Wild Charge. Now if you're curious about Cantonian Golem, like hey, Flying Raid Boss, rock type attacks, yeah, dude doesn't have Wild Charge. So his performance is actually like right where this double Relobby Avoid TDO text is. He's like hanging out there. So definitely not terrible, but definitely not getting the duo in without that Wild Charge. Now if you're curious about what's going on here with Rhyperior, so this is Rock Throw Stone Edge Rhyperior, right? And this guy has Grass Knot as one of his 4 charge moves, so doubly super effective. So I decided to sim out this raid without Grass Knot for this guy, so I highlighted it in green, just, Grass Knot green, no GK, no Grass Knot. And yeah, it improves. It's not like a huge improvement, but that's a pretty good improvement there. So if you really think about it, the Grass Knot fight isn't holding this guy back too much on average. But without Grass Knot, obviously, it's going to be a little bit better. And aside from those options, there's like a whole slew of good Pokemon to use. You got Electivire, you got Mamoswine, you got Weavile, you got the best buddy, Glaceon. Luxray showing up? Where did you come from, man? Yeah, so that's pretty surprising. Here with Jolteon, Thundershock is basically equaling Volt Switch. Thundershock is slightly better, but like they're basically the same. And then yeah, we got the Rock Throw, Rock Slide, Aerodactyl being very okay. Now one thing to note for the duo is you kind of want to be on the right of the double Relobby Avoid TDO line here. If you are on the other side of it, then you're going to want to make up for the lack of bulk that you have with basically like maxed out Magnezones. Because if you are relobbying, that is going to lower your DPS lower than what this graph thinks that you're having. So just be aware of that. And yeah, these are generally the best counters to the Tornadus Incarnate Forme raid. As long as you got like level 30 options of the best options featured here, you're probably going to be good for this fight. It's a really easy duo, so I expect local communities to take it down, lickety-split, no problem. As far as Aggron goes, Rock Throw Aggron, maxed out, is even worse than Golem is. I think it's like tankiness is like somewhere around here, but like its performance like drops down to like this Twitch icon down here, so that's like, yeah, definitely not a good Pokemon, but it's not terrible. I guess it can get the trio in, so can't wait for that YouTube video to show up. Trioed Tornadus with Aggron. By the way, to note about the Insano DPS here with the Rampardos. Yeah, even with weather boosts, a lot of these Pokemon don't get on Rampardos' level. So if it's raining outside, I know that Raikou does get above it ever so slightly, like it'd be where this little yellow bulb is, essentially. With a bit more TDO, of course. But yeah, no, even with the weather boost, a lot of these like lesser options, like the lower hanging fruit, just can't reach the performance of Rampardos. So yeah, Rampardos, pretty crazy. So now we know how to beat Tornadus down. Just how good is it in the meta? So here we have the DPS TDO spreadsheet on GamePress here, and yeah, you can see that Tornadus Incarnate Forme just isn't doing it. Even Unpheasant is better than Tornadus, which is, I guess, not terrible. Unpheasant is a good flying type Pokemon. I recommended that you guys power him up for the Virizion raid, if you recall. But yeah, Tornadus is still behind them. And the main problem that Tornadus has is that its charge move is Hurricane. And Hurricane is a garbage charge move. Unless Niantic buffs Hurricane or gives Tornadus a new move in the future, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be that great of a raid attacker. That said, it's not all that terrible. I mean, it's 5th place. And then here you can see it's got a Therian form. All of the Incarnate Form Genies have a Therian form, and Tornadus's actually loses on the attack stat. So this is the first instance where the Therian form is actually worse than the Incarnate form, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, also has Hurricane. So unless we get a move pool update or a Hurricane buff, Tornadus isn't all that exciting. But hey, what's not good for raids could be good for PvP. So here we got PV Poke, and yeah, you can just search just how good Tornadus is in the Great League. You won't get a Great League sized one, but hey, let's get this all out of the way here. It sucks. Alright, let's check out the Ultra League, 278. That's just, that's an L. How about that Master League? 159. Yeah, overall, Tornadus sucks. It's not good. Like, if it got a move pool rework, that could help it out. But it is a pretty bland Pokemon. I mean, mono flying typing sounds good on paper. You know, less weaknesses. But along with that, you'd no longer have the ghost type resistances, leaving you vulnerable to the Giratinas out there, for example. And yeah, flying type damage. We already have tons of really good flyers with move pools that are way better than this guy's. So it's like, maybe a move pool update could help out Tornadus, but I don't see a move pool update helping it. For now, trophy Pokemon, maybe save one for a buff in the future maybe, but not all that exciting. And there you have it, guys, how to best beat down Tornadus and its use in the meta. Yeah, so beating it down, pretty easy, very easy duo. In the meta, not exactly that hot. If you got any questions on this content, comment below, let me know what's up, and I'll be happy to help you out. And if you enjoyed this content, you want to see more like it, well hey, make sure to subscribe to SwagTips. I just realized I forgot to share this with you guys in the main recording. Yeah, I got some predictive stats for Rockwrecker Rhyperior. Right now, Rockwrecker is not in the Game Master, but if Rockwrecker were to parallel Meteor Mash, you could expect Rhyperior to have this level of performance in this raid. If it were to parallel something more reasonable, like Dynamic Punch, then Rhyperior would surge above Raikou in terms of average performance in this particular raid too. At the end of the day, I think Rockwrecker Rhyperior will be at least as good as Dynamic Punch here. So, hey, looking towards the future, get ready for that community day. Like, kind of a 0 right now, evolve then.